Hattie, I'm KK.
I'm Kristen.
Together we are
KK Crochet.
Welcome back, and today is Talk About It Tuesday. And so this Talk About It Tuesday, we're going to talk about a couple of things. I got to thinking the other day about things that we use, tools that we use every day for whatever we're doing with crochet or knitting or whatever. And there are lots of people in the YouTube streets who make things and who sell things for us to use in our crochet journey or a knit journey. And sometimes I just wonder if we know about them all or if we realize that they make things. And I'm sure there are tons of them, but I'm going to share a couple of them that I know of that I have personally used their stuff. And so that way I can say, yep, it's good stuff. And, you know, and that way I've personally touched something that they have made. So I've seen it and I know what it's about. And Kristen and I both have things that that they make, or people who I genuinely just trust and love and know that they are good-hearted and that they are good people and that they wouldn't do you wrong, right? And so these are people that I know their stuff, you know, that their workmanship is fabulous. So here we go. First of all, if you're looking for bags, you can go to Ella at No Catchy Name, and she has an Etsy shop, and it's linked in her videos, and you can go and find the bags that she makes. Now, I have a project bag that she made, and I have a notions pouch. I should have it here to show, but I'm not sure where it's at. And then Kristen also has a bag and a notions pouch, right? Mine is Christmas related, and yours is what?
Halloween. It's
Right.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right. And so, okay, I had to go look because, you know. So this is Ella's notions pouch that she sent me. It's been a couple of years ago, and I have worn it. This is, this actually has my rotary cutter in it, and all of my rotary cutter tools with it. And, let's see. It also has a couple of stickers in it. And I know that Ella's sister, I'm not sure if those came from her or not, but Ella's sister Hattie has a shop where she makes stickers and lots of other things, and I will link her down below too, and you can go check her stuff out. Also, someone else who makes bags is Jane Wynn at Scraptastic Yarns, and this is one of her bags. Now, I did not purchase this one. It was a gift, but I love it. I love it. It's got these drawstring handles, and I like that a lot. And my one from Ella, I think, is like that too. And so I love these project bags, and I use them all the time. And I use my notions pouch all the time. And then also Ella does stitch markers, and I think Jane does too. And Spring at Spring the Fiber Enthusiast makes handmade glass stitch markers and jewelry and just gorgeous items for you to go over and check out. So many things that she makes. And then oh no, why do I always, Mimi makes keepsakes. I always get it turned back around. I get her channel confused with somebody else's. I told you last time that they're doing the 3D printed pumpkin stems for your pumpkins if you want to order those and get those in to make that to make your pumpkins really, really cute. They have like that hologram type look. I don't know what you call it, when it looks like green and then it turns to a different color when you turn it a different way. Just beautiful, beautiful. And then some brown ones and black ones, just beautiful stems for your pumpkins. Let's see. Also, Rose at Rose Likes Crochet, she makes stitch markers, and they're in her Etsy shop, and that's always listed in her description box, and you can go there and get those. I'm sure there's other people I'm forgetting. Lots of people, you know, in our community make things, and I forget that they make things for us, you know, for those who are crocheting. So those are just some of the ones that I know right off the top of my head. And also we're going to talk about Kim at Yarning for a Smile. She's doing the declutter challenge, and I have been doing that along with her. It was declutter 1 item the first day of September, 2 the next day, 3 the next day, 4 the next day, so on and so forth. And you should end up with like 465 items. Well, I decided I was doing just regular, and then I decided I would start with craft stuff, and I went through my buttons. I know, right? But I had buttons that I had this grand idea that I was going to use, and I never did. Like, I had purchased buttons from I had purchased stuff from Temu or somewhere, and they were the Christmas buttons, and I really wanted them to use in crafting, and they look cute. It might have been Amazon, but when I got them, the holes through them weren't even big enough to hardly put a needle through, and when you put a really thin needle through it, it would break through so that the holes were connected. So I used a bunch of them to craft with hot glue, which is fine. I do that a lot, you know. I find other ways to use stuff, but there was probably like 600 buttons in that package, and should have been a clue, right? And so I did go through those and get rid of some of those and de-stash them. I went through some other buttons I had that I had torn buttons off of clothing for years. I went through some of those, and I ended up going to friends, and just things that I knew that I was never going to use again, and I had them and they took up so much space. Necklaces that I had kept thinking I would tear them apart and use the beads off of them, and I haven't used them. And like I said the other day when we were talking about this, if I haven't used it in a year, the chances that I'm going to use it is about, 1%. And for that 1% to take up so much clutter, I just can't. Now, I don't have a lot of clutter, but it doesn't take any amount of clutter to make my head start to spin and go, I can't handle this. So I like a clutter-free space. I like for things not to be laying around. It bothers me. So I did go through and start to declutter. So my grand total so far is 652. Now, I did not count every little bead on a necklace. I started to, and I thought I'm not going to do that. But it didn't matter because I went through so much stuff. And I went through things that I had that I thought I was going to keep, clothing and all of these other things that just I wasn't going to keep. And also I used a bunch of yarn on things, and I donated some things. And I don't know that I ever showed you all that there was a blanket that I had started on here, and I told you all about it, and then I never showed you the finished product, and the finished product got delivered already for the auction. And so let me see, I'm not sure if I showed you before, but I will show you now. There you go. Can't see much, but there it is. It was that teal green, and I did get finished. It's a baby blanket, and I did take it. It was the yarn from Joann's that I got, another roll from there when they were going out of business, and I got it thinking I would make something for Kristen, and then thought, well, it's not enough to make a blanket, and I thought, well, I'll just give it to her to use, and she didn't want it, so I ended up making a baby blanket. I still have some I may use for hats, but I did use that. And so as I went through things, I just started pitching things that I knew I was no longer going to use. I also went through the baby's books that were here, and you know how you keep things you think, oh, that's perfect. Well, I had done that for her, and I'd also kept some books for Kristen, maybe for her classroom that she said she didn't want at the time, and I thought she'll change her mind. And as we went through them this last time, I sent those on their way too, because she didn't want them, and they weren't okay for the grandbaby. They were higher level. And then I also went through, what else did I go through? I went through and challenged Kristen to get rid of 5 things for the week, remember?
Yeah.
And she said, the week's almost over. And I said, you're just making excuses. So the next day, I think it was, she went to her room and started to clean up some stuff and move some stuff and organize. And she actually did get rid of some stuff.
Got rid of 19 items.
Yay! In a day.
In a day.
So I think that was pretty good. So we have learned to question each other. Like, I would pick something up and go, yeah, but what if? And Kristen would say, you haven't done it yet. You've had it for 2 years. You're probably not going to do it. And so she was right, and I would pass on it, because there are things that I have kept thinking, I will do that someday. And I never did it. And let's be real, in 2 years, if I haven't used it, the likelihood that I'm going to is even less. And I know that I'd had this conversation with one of you guys, and my husband and I had this conversation. What if you find you need it later? On the 1% chance that I find that something I have had for 2 or 3 years I all of a sudden need, I will go buy it, especially if it is something that costs less than $1. or $1 or a couple dollars. I mean, no, I don't have money to throw, but seriously, the things that you keep that you really don't need, the number of bags that I had kept that I really did not need, the number of, I just the other day pulled one out of here that I had hooks in. I probably have 4 bags with hooks in them. I did not need the one. It was not a handmade bag. Now, I will not lose my handmade bags that have been made for me or given to me. But bags that I've gotten, like the, you know, the project bags that we get from Hobby Lobby and stuff, the big plastic ones, that reusable grocery bags, or things that I have gotten, like this one was a bag that came with a purse. It was like a makeup bag. And I've used it for years for hooks, but I have hooks everywhere. And now I can't find my hooks because they're in all these different bags. So I combined it into one bag that I had. It was a Vera Bradley makeup bag that I use, that large one. And I'm using that black one for the craft fair for donations for BMO. And then I'll probably send it on its way to somebody else or repurpose it for something else. So I'm learning new things. I did clean out a basket that I had that was full of yarn that sat here with me all the time for me to just grab and do. Do you know how often I grab and do? Usually not from that basket, unless I'm making hats. And so I cleaned that out. Granted, it got combined with another tote that I was cleaning out, a small tote, but it is combined now, smaller. And the other yarn is put away, and that basket is now a toy bin for my granddaughter. And I threw away her old, no, I didn't throw away, gave away her old toy bin, which was a fabric
pop-up hamper.
Yeah, a pop-up fabric laundry hamper. And that was something that I was concerned that maybe she would push down and fall on or something as she got older. So I just switched things out. We went through toys. But one of the major things I want to talk about is decluttering life, but not decluttering things. Sometimes we need to declutter our time. So my challenge to you and to everyone out there this week is to declutter your time. And some of the ways that I've been decluttering my time, and I won't go into too much detail, but there are some things that I was doing in life, like I had a group that I was in, and doing some things that I just needed. It took up a lot of my time. It was something that I was doing all the time, and it was causing me to have to spend a lot of my days doing extra stuff and taking time from family and everything else. And so I'm closing that and walking away from it. It wasn't anything super important. It was not YouTube related. It was just something that I have been doing. And then there was just other things that people have asked me to do lately that I've said no. And so decluttering that is moving away from that and getting some of that stuff out of your life and just saying, I don't feel the need to do that anymore. I have learned to say no to things that pressure me into doing stuff that take my time. And of course I've been doing this for a long time, but here lately it just seemed like life got really cluttered. Time was taken by a lot of things, and I decided to stop. I just decided to stop. So I question now everything that I'm doing, and I question whether or not I want to participate in certain things, and whether or not it's, is it worth the time that it takes. And so I've had people ask me, do you want to do this, that, and the other? Do you want me to give you this, that, and the other? No, because it's going to take more of my time, or it's going to take time or a block of time that I need for family. So think about decluttering some of the things you're doing. Maybe look at where you're putting your time. Maybe there is not necessarily a hobby, but an activity that you are part of. Maybe you are checking in with a group every day doing something. Maybe you are, maybe you're going out of your way and going to some type of an event every week, or going to some type of meeting every time you turn around. And maybe those things just don't need as much of your time, and you can refocus. I'm not saying to give up things that are good and things that you like, but maybe you have, let's say for an example, you have 10 things that you are spreading your time out over. Can you pick the top 5 and take 5 and say, maybe I'll push those to the side for now? Maybe this club can wait. Maybe this group can wait. Maybe this, this hobby can wait, or this, whatever it is I'm doing. Maybe there's something that maybe you've got lots of irons in the fire and you're running for this. Maybe it's that Facebook is in your face all the time, or TikTok, or Instagram, or whatever it is. I don't know. And you just need to figure out how to dial it back a little bit. Those are some of the things I'm trying to declutter to get my mental focus back to where it needs to be, and to give me the time that I need to do the things that I want to do. And sometimes that means that I'm not as focused on crochet as I sometimes am, because I'm focusing on other things. What do you think?
I've learned to say no when people ask me to do stuff recently, because life is hectic, and if you don't take a time to breathe, it's just not good.
That can mean saying no to events that you really don't want to go to. That can mean saying no to events that you know are going to take a big chunk of your day. And like for me, it can mean that I am saying no to an event because it is going to mean that there are 3 other events that same week, and I'm running for 4 different things, and it's going to drain me physically. Kristen and I were out all day Friday doing stuff for things, and it drained me. And Saturday I was doing stuff all day, and Sunday I was doing stuff. So finally Sunday I went no, and I started peeling back layers and taking things out and going, nope, I'm not going to do that. Nope, I'm not going to do that. And I've talked to the family as I've done it and made sure that they're on board with me, and it's okay with them if I don't do these things, because it's things that maybe they were participating in too, or things that we were doing as a family, or whatever, for whatever reason. And so I started peeling back layers and saying, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. Like I said, I'm not going to push myself to crochet things. I'm going to crochet at the pace that I like to. They're fine with that, obviously. I'm not going to participate in this. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to that event. I'm not going to that event. And I'm not going to be, watching this, doing this, whatever. I'm not doing it. And sometimes we just have to do that. So it's a mental declutter, an emotional declutter, a time declutter, as well as decluttering stuff. And for me, it's been so absolutely liberating to be able to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I have lots of things out there that are floating that I'm still reining in and saying, nope, clip, not going to do that anymore. Clip, out, not doing it anymore. Little by little, I'm finding those things that I don't. And maybe it is that you are on Facebook in 50 million groups and you have all these things coming at you with notifications, and you learn to say, nope, not that one. Nope, not that one. I did that too. Somehow I managed to wind up in a yard sale group. I don't know how I managed to get in it. Lots of times I end up in these groups and I don't know what happens. Sometimes I think there's this new thing on Facebook where they'll give you a preview because somebody invited you, and so it keeps showing up in your feed. And also, as I go through Facebook, when I find things that are upsetting or triggering to me, and I'm not talking about people's individual posts, although sometimes maybe, but I'm talking about advertisements and the same video cropping up and the same thing cropping up all the time, I just hit not interested. Hit the 3 bubbles at the top, the 3 ellipses, and say not interested, and it'll take it away, or and you won't see it again, and it will train your feed not to show you those things, because what you watch is what they are going to feed you. And so when you watch reels and everything else, let's say you watch one, and maybe you get on a kick today that you are watching this certain thing, or sometimes you get on there and that's all they're talking about, no matter whose Facebook or reel it is, right? It's the same stuff all the time, because there's a topic, and it's constant pet play. Then that's what they want to feed you over and over again, and you will go through, why do you think it's called a feed? They will give it to you over and over and over and over again, and until the point where you have to say stop. I don't want to hear it anymore. I saw Kelly from Crochet Moth for Life. She posted something, and I thought this was the best thing I've ever seen, and obviously and it's something I had thought of before that they need to do, and it said, I wish there was a no political post button, because on YouTube, we say, no, we're not doing that. Sometimes I said before, we need to be able to pick a word or a phrase that can say, tell Facebook, nope, don't want to see that. Like, for those who don't like to hear me talk about Christmas in July or September, they could be like, nope, I don't want to see that. And, you know, for those who don't want to see, you know, that winter's coming, they could say, nope, I don't want to see that. Sometimes you have to do that for yourself. Whatever it is that triggers you or that upsets you, excuse me, sometimes you just have to be the one to click the button and say no. Or maybe no social media at all for 24 hours or something to reset your brain. So that's my declutter. I hope you guys are finding wonderful ways to declutter yourself and that you've joined Kim's challenge. And that's all we have. Don't forget to be kind because
Nobody else is turning.
Bye.
Bye.